Howdy, howdy. Frosty510 here. Welcome to Dead Space, the remake. And I'm just gonna... Yeah, it's fine. I'm just gonna press this and have this in the background as I chat. So, I just beat the game, and I have some thoughts, basically. And this is what the channel's sort of about. Me chatting, you responding in comments, hopefully. But, it's an interesting game, Dead Space. I played it on the, as you saw, the lowest difficulty because I'm a baby. But I still feel like there's a lot I can take away from it. And it's mainly that it's very quick game. Like, as in, you go from point A to B to C. You actually move through quite quickly. But there's just so much going to the same locations again and again and again. There's a lot of backtracking and a lot of tedium. It felt like tedium in repairing the multiple of this and then stabbing the multiple of that in the head with the thing and to neutralize them, and then you gotta do a little bit of puzzling with the anti-gravity and then come back and then do this and that and with the power thing and the power thing, and then all the while you're shooting off the limbs of the enemies and doing all that sort of stuff, and then picking up a whole bunch of ammo for guns you don't use or guns they want you to use, and picking up so much loot. Again, maybe it's just because on story mode that you had the most loot, but it felt like so much going into the inventory. The game looked great. Sound is great. I will say, like, it wasn't nearly as scary as I thought it would be. I guess when I avoided it at actual launch, original launch, I built up this image of it being so scary, but having played through it, I wouldn't say it's that scary. And once you get in the rhythm, you have a gun, so you're always able to shoot things. The enemies are pretty generous on story mode, at least, in terms of giving you a second to respond and shoot them when they're getting close before and there's something that'll launch at you, but I think playing it on the lower difficulty did take away a lot of the fear, because I only died to environmental puzzles and not to enemies through the entire run, which is, what you'd expect on the lower difficulty, but it was just, there's so much backtracking and looping around and trying to get the security parts for the doors, and then you wait for the dialogue to finish so you can open the door. Story-wise, I think it is strong. The characters are good. I think that there's more intrigue, which I liked. Everyone has their own agendas and they've got their own missions, and having that play out is really nice. Lots of gore. I still think the you kill the enemies by shooting their limbs off is just stupid. I like it as a gameplay concept, but I think when it comes to actually killing the enemies, it's kind of odd. Like, it would seem, they just regenerate their limbs and stuff because they created those weird limbs from controlling the corpses anyway. So. But yeah, it really felt like engineering simulator. Space engineer simulator. There's so much tedium. It feels like you're doing a job. More so than being like a badass, spacesuit wearing action hero. It was much more like you just kind of fix the stupid ship, and they did this, you gotta fix this, and then you gotta open this, and you gotta get the serum thing, so you gotta fix that, and you gotta open the door, you gotta fix that, and it's just so much tedious repairing and things, which makes sense as Isaac, it's his job, but it feels like they don't get too crazily rattled, the crew, and everyone sort of does stick to their jobs, except where Isaac, your main guy, gets kind of mind controlled into thinking his wife is there and he can talk to her and stuff, which is, it is what it is.
Then let's get some help. Johnston, stay with the
And the final boss is pretty
Everyone else?
meh. But yeah, I really do not want to play New Game Plus. I just, again, I just clicked it because I wanted to have something in the background because sometimes it looks better. Oh, so I lose all my stuff? What's the point of New Game Plus if you lose all your stuff? When I pick it up, surely it gives me all my stuff back.
Stand clear. Crap, we came down hard. Not a great start to our repair mission.
But yeah, I don't...
Standard procedure.
I'm failing to see how the game is particularly iconic, is kind of my point. I feel like I wouldn't put it in my list of top games by any measure. And I just sort of, I flew through it. Again, lower difficulty, so I'm a baby. But just because I just wanted to end. And I was more than happy. As soon as the towards the end it pops up the point of no return, I was more than happy just to go. Because there's no... I have no fondness for the ship or anything in it. Any of the locations. None of them are memorable. The medic bay was one of the worst for just going there so many times and going loops and loops and loops so many times.
May as well get signed in.
The enemy being like an infinitely spawning mass. I mean, they didn't spawn nearly as much because again, I'm story mode, but I don't know. I didn't like the backtracking. It's just so much looping around. So much just constant going around the same locations again and 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 again. And collecting so much loot. And then me just selling so much and then, oh, I'll get enough for maybe an upgrade to the node thing. I get minus stat increase. And maybe get the special thingy, but... I'm glad I didn't buy it, is my point. Because I've got it as part of PlayStation Plus, so I didn't have to pay for it. And I always thought about buying the game. And it had a lot to do with the kind of the esteem, the regard it was held with, the high regard, the general sentiment. But then, having actually played it, it's just another middling horror game. And the reason it's middling is because the backtracking drops it a lot. I feel like overusing the environments that aren't particularly memorable it grew tiresome. And it's like the combat is, you know, snappy and quick, and I feel like if the game flows quickly when it's not backtracking.
Where's the security detail? Where's anybody?
And this remake look damn good, and you know.
For God's sake.
No, is it just that the grapples are pretty awkward? And you just spam X and... I didn't even bother reading the lore after a while. And not even many entries in, I was just done with it. So it didn't draw me in from that point of view. Some of the NPC characters are just... Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really sympathize with people who are controlled by a crazy religious belief, and that's totally understandable that it's like...
Shit. It's not just comms with the guidance system.
But I just keep coming back to how the criticism of Callisto Protocol, and I'm like, because I played Callisto Protocol having never played Dead Space, so coming into Dead Space I was like, okay, well, what is it? What's the difference between them? What, you know, are they similar? And they're totally different games. I feel like environment wise they could be considered similar if you didn't play Callisto Protocol all the way through. It has way more diverse environments, but at the same time it hasn't got the backtracking, but it's much slower. So Dead Space is really quick, so that tries to remedy the use of the environment, the same areas again and again, is that you are quick and the combat's quick and it doesn't have that lock-in melee combat. but they're just totally different. I mean, like, I don't feel like there's really... They're just... I don't think there's much room for comparison, to be honest, because they're just... the Callisto Protocol, it tries to be everything that Dead Space isn't. So it has a more linear progression of your locations. It has different environments. It doesn't have good characters, though. It doesn't have... I mean, only your one friend early on, but I feel like it does not have particularly good characterization in the Callisto Protocol. And it kind of tries... It could have been written a lot better. I do feel like that's the biggest failing, the story. I didn't mind the combat of Callisto Protocol, so that's why I'm special. Special in the good way. Okay, do we got my stuff back? So I do think Callisto Protocol spent too much time on environments. They look good, but they spent too much time. And they could have been more flexible. But I still think they made it a different game. A very different one, much more focused on melee. Complete opposite of Dead Space. So it's like, they're so different. From the from the gameplay mechanics. They're so different. It's kind of like they didn't want to be Dead Space. That's how I feel about it now. It's like they wanted to be as different as possible. And I think they succeeded in that. But having said that, succeeded in being different is not necessarily succeeded in being a fabulous, memorable game. But then I don't think Dead Space is either. So I'm like, that's the thing about it, is I felt like all the comparisons, all the harsh criticism of Callisto Protocol was rooted in this idea that Dead Space is this amazing game, and I just don't see it.
There's a broken tram car blocking the tunnel. It's gridlocked the system, and the data board's burned out.
So like,
I can't lift the lockdown or call.
I stand by that. I think Callisto Protocol is okay, and if you play on the hardest difficulty first run, there has been updates. It has changed, so it has become easier with updates. That's all. I will say that. But I had a good experience streaming it, and I felt like I would have maybe enjoyed streaming this game more than just playing it on its own, because that's kind of how I feel. Is that I just sort of, play through and rush through and kill everything, and I don't know. I do know. I'm just glad I didn't buy this. I'm just so glad I didn't buy. It's been an actual, I know it's part of the PlayStation Plus, so you're technically paying for it. And I'm just glad I didn't. Because I'd be disappointed. It doesn't have a hell of a lot of resistance, which is a good thing. Again, why I'm on lowest difficulty. Is I felt like there was no point where there was only puzzle things where I was just being pretty blind that had any sort of slowing down. It was just a game where you maintain a very quick momentum and you just go through A to B and you just keep going and going and going. It does a lot of darkness. I got brightness at 60, but even then I felt like it uses darkness a huge amount as its fear thing to try and build tension. But I feel like a game that's way scarier and got way more tension is Aliens Dark Descent. And that's a tactical game where you look from the top down and you control your squad, but that's way scarier, way more intense, way more intimidating, and at the harder difficulties, way more difficult than Dead Space. It's just
Vents into engineering.
so I feel like the the feeling of stress and tension in Alien's Dark Descent throughout the entire game,
Temple here, sending a stasis module.
except for some story parts, but then even then they had their moments. It's
No idea.
so much more.
Down.
Oh gosh.
Hearing things. Down in the
And even, you know, the melee combat when you haven't mastered it on Callisto Protocol's tense. And you're so much closer to the enemies in their face. But here, you can, if you're clever and quick, you know, you respond quickly, you get your gun out, you can deal with the enemies, you can control them. And then you can do that when you've got better arsenal in the Callisto Protocol. Like, particularly New Game Plus and Callisto Protocol, you can... You can really just fly through the game. Except for the elevator part, that's bit's bloody brutal. Oh my gosh.
Replacing damaged tram car. Please stand by.
So much bloody loot. Spending all my time just picking stuff up. The other thing I spent a huge amount of time doing was trying to get the line on the ground to see where to go. Like the whole game I'm just following that line. Oh no.
Tram replacement complete. You got it.
And there's a lot of segments where, you know, the doors, the windows close, the shadows go down, and it's, oh,
Inventory says there's a
contaminated creatures in the area and you got to clear them out. And it reminded me so much of the bloody Dead Island 2 and the criticism for that, where it's like, oh, what's your objective? Kill all zombies. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's a zombie game, that's what it'd be. But the criticism of that, and then having the same sort of thing in this, it's like, and then not criticized, I'm like, oh yeah, always the double standards. It just... Yep, he's spamming this the whole time. All my playthrough, always spamming the locator. But I felt like, so... Dead Space is smooth. Like, you just keep going, you go with the flow, you go quick. Callisto Protocol, way slower. Way slower. And I do think that is a huge difference. And again, going in expecting something and getting something totally opposite, I could see, you know, I can understand why it wasn't received very well by those expecting Dead Space, more Dead Space style. Because the Ark guy, you know. But it... Having played Callisto Protocol first, I just can appreciate it. What it is and how it is completely different. It's just not. Story mode is crazy. It just heals all the time. You don't even need heals. I don't know. Difficulties in games is very... I think another really interesting concept. Where I feel like playing through the Callisto Protocol on the hardest difficulty and actually getting through it made me appreciate the game more. My experience was better on as I streamed the whole thing, but playing through story mode, I feel like I had less stress and more time to just look at the way the game was structured, and it just, the repetition of environments, the backtracking. I know there's games with worse of those, but it's still pretty bad. Medic area is one of the worst. And the tram thing, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on the tram. Oh, I go to the tram, we go back and forth and more, back and forth. Doom 2016, I feel like, is a much better experience. And like the model of what you want in your action horror. Because like Callisto Protocol is not a survival horror, and I don't know if I'd say Dead Space is a survival horror either. Action horror. But Doom is better than both of them, obviously, because it's just a very different experience. It's just an FPS with the good music and usage of environments and enemies, and I think best sort of upgrading system with the challenges, and I really enjoyed that part of it. And here you just got the weapon upgrades. I wouldn't say either of them are superior. Like Callisto Protocol, you need to go through multiple playthroughs, like New Game Plus, to be able to afford everything to get all the upgrades. But that said, you get to keep your weapons in New Game Plus. But here I get to keep the upgrades, but I still have to find the weapons again. Oh, I gotta do the thing because I'm just completely shocking. It's not a bad game by any means. That's not my point. But I just, appreciating Callisto Protocol for what it is. I don't think Dead Space is a million times better. I don't think it's that clear cut at all. They're just totally different games. Totally different games, totally different experiences. So I don't think it's like I'm spending all my time comparing them, but they're not really comparable because they're going at it in totally different ways. Comparison is the thief of joy. But Dead Space ain't all that amazing, so. Oh, I turned the lights off again. Oh no. So this guy's supposed to be an engineer capable of, fixing up ships and doing all this amazing stuff, and he can't just steal some lights and strap them to his suit so he can see in the dark better? Bullshit. Bullshit. He can't get better lighting on his suit. It's the most contrived bullshit. I mean, that's the most contrived part of Dead Space. Is he can't set up his own light system on his suit to be able to see better. It's just stupid. Like, just yeah, it's so dumb. Yeah, I do think there's like some oddities. But, it is a remake of an older game, but I don't think that's... Yeah. So, do I recommend playing the Dead Space remake? I think cheap as you can get. I'm happy to have played it for free. Will I play New Game Plus? Well, I just showed you then. I just did it for this video, but no. I don't want to be in the Ishimura ever again. And it's just because I've seen it all many times over, and it's not interesting. Now, is Callisto Protocol better? No. I don't think I I don't know. I feel like they're so different. They're so different. Like Callisto Protocol has this, like, its resistances, like areas where it's not so smooth. And Dead Space is such a streamlined experience, particularly in lower difficulty. But then it gets backtracking. So it's like, if it didn't have the backtracking, I feel like it'd be a better game. It'd be shorter, obviously. But even then, the boss fights aren't as interesting. Like, the boss fights, I know they're kind of designed in a stupid way on Callisto Protocol, where they're being melee focused for mobs, and then suddenly all the boss fights you can't use melee at all, you just get insta killed. That's kind of annoying, but I don't know, they're more threatening. The mid boss encounter, and then final boss is bloody brutal on the harder difficulties. I don't know. It's interesting knowing now, having played the games, my perception being that, yeah, I don't think I'd hold Dead Space up as a bastion of epic horror games. And that said, I don't hold Resident Evil up as epic horror games either. I don't think Resident Evil 4 or 2 or any of them are any good, just because I totally disagree with the health pool of the zombies and how much health and how many bullets they can take to the head. And I just think that's stupid and fundamentally dumb game design. So, you know, I like to give my opinion. I'm not conforming to the group. No, I never conform to the majority. I just have my take and my thoughts and trying to express myself, and that's the point of the channel. Having said that, I'm sure I'm in the small group, but, you know, stay true to yourself. That's what it's all about. Did I have fun? Yeah, I think I'd be lying if I said I had a great time. It's just that because I'm on the lowest difficulty, it was just so much easier to just push through it. And I do think there is satisfaction in beating horror games when you have a perception of fear built up just based on nothing. Or just those old trailers, and then you thought, oh, it's too scary. And then you actually play it and you're like, oh, I'll get through it because even if it's scary, I'll push through. And then you're like, wait a second, it's not so scary. And then, oh, I'm back into here again. Oh, I'm here again. Oh, I got back here again? Oh, I gotta follow the line on the ground. Oh, I'm back here again. I think I got more jump scares from Callisto Protocol. There's no doubt. The stupid head extended tentacle things grabbing me. That always got me. It's shocking. Yeah. Way more scares, jump scares from Callisto Protocol. But it's not really I won't call it a scary game. Just different enemy design, so it's different aesthetic and just, you know, weak. I wish they'd just done a better job with the characters. The main character. But that's it. Isaac is like mind control for the last half of the game, and you're just like, what are you doing, mate? But I just gotta keep going with it. I never felt at any point that Nicole was actually alive. It was so obvious. It was really, really, really obvious. And it was just, you know, he was high on copium, which, you know, fair enough, but it did take a bit away. So, yeah, I wouldn't say, you know, it's got the greatest story ever. I don't think that'd be just, again, so much, I don't know. Is it gaslighting when people say older games are great? No, they were good when they played them. So they had this, you know, they had that moment in time and they had the impact, which is, yeah, it is what it is. But I'm just not coloured by that history. So I have my perception. Tell me yours. Tell me what you think. Do you think Dead Space is the best game ever? Or, you know, where would you put it on the scale of horror, adventures? Not even an adventure. I wouldn't even call it an adventure game. I feel like you can call Callisto Protocol an adventure because you actually go from a bunch of different locations that are totally different. Doom is what would you call it? Doom an adventure? Because you go to hell and then you go through this various thing on Mars. I really liked Doom 2016, but then I've got videos you can see I hated Doom Eternal. I think that's trash. So I'm just I'm just full of hot takes. Give me your hot takes in the comments. Tell me you think I'm full of shit. But that said, it's my opinion, my feelings. So they're not made up. They're as real as yours. that's it. They're as true as your feelings. So yeah, it's an opinion. Unpopular, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm interested. Because again, I think the time you play games, when you play them, does have an impact definitely on their value and where you rate them and all that sort of stuff. But I'm just so glad I didn't buy it. And I kept seeing these wild discounts and they're going so cheap. And then I think about it now and I'm like, of course it went so cheap. It's not, it's not a game that holds its price. And that happens with horror games, I'll be honest. All of them sort of drop and have big sales and stuff, but EA in particular too. But yeah, no slight. I just think it's yeah, I just didn't have that good time. Yeah. Alright then. It's been Frosty Fire 10, rabbiting on about Dead Space and then Callisto Protocol and how they're just totally different games and it's not fair to compare them really. And then proceeding to compare them. Yeah. Creativity is about trying to express yourself and I've tried my best. Alright, I'll catch you next time. Like and subscribe. Dislike if you feel like it. I'll see it, but it is what it is. Catch you next time. See ya.